محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتجبين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى قيام يوم الدين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. رب زدني علما وعملا والحقنا بالصالحين. اللهم أخرجنا من ظلمات الوهم واكرمنا بنور الفهم. अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह खुदावंद मुताल ने हमें दोबारा से एक मौका और फुर्सत इनायत की है कि इस पाकीज़ा माह मुबारक रमज़ान करीम में जो है वो दोबारा से मोहम्मद व आले मोहम्मद अलैहिमुस्सलाम अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला मोहम्मद व आले मोहम्मद व अज्जल फ़रजहुम से मंसूब बारगाह में जो है वो जमा हो जाएं और मकसद हकीकी ज़िंदगी की तरफ अपने आप को मुतवज्जे करें। और जैसे कि हम अर्ज़ करते रहे कि ये माह मुबारक रमज़ान, इसका जो हदफ़ क़ुरान ने हमें बतलाया है वो तक़वा इलाही है। और तक़वा इलाही यानी इंसान अपनी ज़ात से अपनी तवज्जो हटा के खुदा की तरफ मुतवज्जे हो जाए। Taqwa is like in the meaning of God-wariness, that you make yourself attentive toward Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is how you can be God-wary, right? If you are attentive towards someone, that's only when you can be wary of that person. If you're not even attentive, then how can you be God-wary? So you have to divert your attention from your own self toward Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in that context, we referred ourselves to and we got attentive toward that beautiful dua Maqaramul Akhlaq from Sayyid al-Sajidin, Imam Zain al-Abidin, Ali ibn Hussein alayhi salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajjal farajhum. And we got attentive toward the different points Imam alayhi salam have been talking about, that how the belief has different levels and then certainty have different levels. Then how actions, they are dependent upon the intentions. And how Imam alayhi salam is asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that make my intention the best of the intentions. Make my intention the most favorite one of the intentions. And in that regard, we talked about how that intention can be purified. Is that if it is only for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, lillah billah, you're doing something. That's how you purify it. And we were mentioning that the criteria for an action to be a good action is nothing but if it is done for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala completely and purely. That's how you can make an action and make an action into a good action. As much as an action could look like a good action from the apparent outer side of the action, for example, there's a salat, there's a prayer, it's a great action. It's the action of worship, one of the best. A salat, imaduddin, it is namaz, it is salat, which is the basis of the religion, the best of the actions. But that's the apparent side of it. When is that salat is going to become a good action for you? Is that when you're doing it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, lillah billah. And in that context, we touched the topic of riya. That riya is in the meaning of showing off. Sometimes it could be for any individual act of your life, and at time that riyakari, that show off, which is the usual terminology which we use, the istilah, for a sin where you do the worship actions and you show them to people. And that's where in the outer world that might seem like a good action. For example, if somebody, God forbid, fasts for the sake of showing off to others. It's a great action in the outer world. Apparently it's a great action. But is it going to be a good action for you? No. Coming to the masjid, coming to the Imam Bargah, serving in the masjid, is it going to be a good action for you or no? No, it is not going to be a good action for you until and unless you purify your intention for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we said why this is important, because the only action which is accepted in the law is a good action. Because the good action is the only action which gets that irtifa, which actually elevates, and it gets to a point where it is worthy enough of being accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what makes it worthy enough to be accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is nothing but what? Your purity of the intention. And Imam alayhi salam in this beautiful dua, he is making us attentive toward that. Asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, oh Allah, make my niyyah, my intention, the purest. And with your mercy, make my certainty, make it stable. I shouldn't be like one day I believe in something and the other day I don't have a belief in that thing. One day I'm certain, the other day I'm not certain. No. He's asking, Ya Allah, make my certainty, firm. That I'm always firm about my belief system. I believe in my Imam Mehdi Ajallallahu Ta'ala Sharif Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad farajahum. I should be certain about it, that He's out there. He's witnessing me. He's waiting for me. And He's between us, but it's just our eyes, they're not able to see Him. And then, that one point we talked about yesterday was that, where he says that, oh Allah, with your power, fix my shortcomings and my defaults. Now, that's something which is very interesting, that we have to be attentive toward that it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who can get us out of the trouble. When we are somebody who has shortcomings and drawbacks and we make mistakes, and God forbid if we indulge ourselves into sins, it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who is going to get us out of those issues. That's why he's saying, oh Allah, you with your mercy, how he said, Allah, you with your mercy gave us that certainty, that firm one. And he's saying that with your power and authority, fix my issues. Again, this also goes back to that purity, that ikhlas, that how you're able to make sure that you had this firm belief that everything is in Allah's control. Every single thing. You are just an agent. You're just an agent who needs to fix your intention. Again, this is so beautiful. At the end of the day, what do we have to do? Is to straighten our intention. Resources are by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Causes are created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are placed in our way by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What are we? We are rather people who are supposed to just turn our intentions. हमारा काम ये होना चाहिए कि अपनी नियतों को खालिस कर लें, इरादा करें, intend करें. We should intend that, all right, for example, there's something really good you want to do, an act of charity, right? Say, oh, I want to do this. Allah will make it possible for you to do it. For example, in future you want to say, oh Allah, I know I live in a city where a lot of students from all of the world comes in. I live in Iran. I want to buy a hostel in the city downtown area, so whenever a new student comes in the town, I have a resource available for them and they can come and benefit from it. You might think you don't have that on you. Maybe you don't have the resource, you don't have the money, but you do the intention and Allah will bring every single resource for you. And you will end up doing that. And this may be implemented in every single thing of your life. Whatever you want to achieve in this life, what is the part you have to play? And that famous saying of Ayatollah Agha Panahian, may Allah protect him, he said that, Ma nabayt kare khudai bekonim, that we don't have to do Allah's work. What is Allah's work? Allah's work is to give results. What is our work? Our work is to do the intention and act in that direction. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has promised, وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ. Whoever is going to practice taqwa, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to make a way out for them and will bless them with sustenance where they can't even imagine. So again, he's saying that, oh Allah, you with your power fix my defaults, fix my faults. You with your authority help me fix my shortcomings. Help me fix my wrongdoings. This is the month of Ramadan where Allah has given us this opportunity that we get attentive to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we get out of that, attention which is just about us. And we are looking at ourselves. And that also reminds us of one of the other things, which is that you think of yourself as somebody big or better than others. And the aql and ujb, thinking yourself as better than others, and intellect, they can't gather together. And that's a fault. And in Ramadan Kareem, you get this opportunity that you start looking at the actual reality of life, that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you get out of that false understanding. When you always are attentive to your own self, unconsciously what is going on? You are basically thinking that you are somebody. But rather, it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who is everything. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by the right of Muhammad wa ali Muhammad alayhi salam, that He may give us the tawfiq, that we can inshallah benefit from this month in the best way possible. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajjal faraj. Just one more minute. Just one more minute. السلام عليكم.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر ولله الحمد. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. صلى الله على محمد وآل محمد. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. صلى الله على محمد وآل محمد. أشهد أن علي ولي الله. صلى الله على محمد وآل محمد. أشهد أن عليا حجة الله. صلى الله على محمد وآل محمد. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. حي على خير العمل. حي على خير العمل. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. لا إله إلا